station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Weather Channel, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Weather Channel. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear.
Okay, you should be hearing our programming now, and that's where you'll hear Al and Stephanie for the interview.
Minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Wake Up with Al. Good morning, Philadelphia. You got a wet weekend ahead. Keep this in mind if you're planning to head out to the Kensington Kinetic Sculpture Derby and Festival, known as one of the city's...
Good morning, gentlemen. This is Tracy from the Weather Channel. You'll be speaking with Al Roker and Stephanie Abrams in about 30 seconds. Please stand by.
And what are we going to see? Warm temperatures above average. Philadelphia, New York, even Boston, 69, but that's still 3 degrees above average.
Hey, by the way, great weather today for Bike to Work Day, National Bike to Work Day. I did today, but tomorrow a little on the wet side if you're going to do any biking from Pittsburgh to Syracuse into Boston.
Okay, so here's a look at where we could see record highs on Sunday, ranging from the northeast, Islip, Rich, Virginia, all the way down into the south. We're talking 90s potentially in Richmond and Raleigh.
That's right, and you can see Philadelphia, some thunderstorms by Sunday, showers on Saturday morning. All right, come take a look at this. We got a pretty cool space eye view of Typhoon Newell as it approaches the Philippines, right as it passes over the Sulu Sea.
And this is posted by astronaut Terry Virts from aboard the International Space Station. He's made a serious habit of posting some pretty awesome pictures and videos. And speaking of...
That's right. Speaking of Terry Virts and Scott Kelly, they are our guests. We are so thrilled to have them. They're traveling about 1,700 miles per hour, orbiting the Earth every 92 minutes on the ISS.
Thank you so much for being with us this morning, you guys. And you've really become kind of rock stars with all these pictures that you're posting. Terry, how do you choose which ones that you're going to post? Because you have to have just millions of incredible shots.
Well, good morning, Stephanie and Al and all the listeners on the Weather Channel. It is tough to pick because, like you said, the views from here are pretty spectacular. Of course, the weather we see with typhoons and different thunderstorms. We just passed over Texas where there was an amazing amount of lightning. So it's hard to pick. There's so many good shots out there.
Scott, you just got up there, and just in time to see Tropical Storm Anna. What was that like, looking at a tropical storm moving onshore? I love that you just drift the mic over.
Well, Al, it was pretty spectacular view out the window. You know what I found interesting about that was a tropical storm so early in our season, so it was somewhat surprising to see it. I understand that's not an indication of what kind of tropical systems we'll have for the entire season. I learned that from you guys on the Weather Channel watching it up here the other day, but a pretty spectacular sight nonetheless.
Scott, what type of research are you going to be conducting over the next year?
You know, we do all kinds of research. While I'm here for a year, there's over 400 different scientific investigations going on, and they're in different categories. You know, some of them look at exploration and how we fly further from our planet than we've done previously, and those investigations are in human physiology a lot, but some of them are investigations in how we can perform up here, or cognitive abilities, but also, having systems that can maintain our lives for long periods of time. And then the other investigations are more Earth-based, how to improve life on Earth, and those are in all different categories, whether it's, medicine and producing scientific results that'll help us treat diseases, material science, basic research, physics, things like that.
And Terry, your original return date's been extended to June, early June. How come? And when you get on ground, what's the weather you're most looking forward to enjoying?
Well, we had The second answer is I keep on hearing we land in Kazakhstan, which is in the middle of Asia, the Central Asian steppe, and I keep on hearing how wonderful the weather is there in June. I was there last May, and it was pretty great. So I'm looking forward to the weather when I land. And I think the smells of the desert is something that we don't have that up here. It'll be over 6 months since I last smelled Earth. So that's going to be definitely, I think, an overwhelming experience I'm looking forward to. But our mission got extended because we had a failure recently of a Progress, a Russian cargo ship. And when that happened, the launch of the next crew got extended, so they're going to keep us here a little bit longer.
Thank you so much. And Scott Kelly, thank you.
Bye-bye.
What a thrill to talk to them.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Weather Channel portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Time Magazine.
Station, this is Time Magazine. How do you hear me?
We read you loud and clear.
Okay, so guys, it's good to see you. Can you tell me a little bit about where you are in the station right now and what your day has been like so far?
Good morning, Jeff. We are in the airlock right now. This is where we get ready for and do our spacewalks. These are our spacesuits right here. So right now, Scott and I are not planning to do one. I did one on the last part of my mission with Butch Wilmore, and Scott's going to do several here in a few months. But we get the equipment and the spacesuits ready here in that part of the airlock right there. We close the hatch, depress all the air out of it, and go out into space from there.
And where are we in your in the cycle of your workday right now?
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Good to talk to you. It is 10:46 in the morning, and we are on GMT, so we get up around 6 a.m. Our workday starts generally about sometime between 7 and 7:30. All of us are kind of do different activities, sometimes together, but a lot of times separately. So far today, for me personally, I had some exercise, my first of 2 exercise sessions, running on the treadmill for about 30 minutes, and then I did some research. This experiment called Fine Motor Skills is a cognitive experiment to investigate how our cognitive abilities change over the long term, and a few other little odds and ends activities that probably aren't worth going into, but that are very important for maintaining the space station and maintaining our lives up here.
Now, you were expecting the docking of the Russian Progress ship just a week or so ago. How big a problem, if at all, is it that the ship didn't arrive? And was there anything aboard that you guys were especially looking forward to, any personal items?
Well, actually, this is a testament to how well stocked the space station is. We did lose the resupply ship, but we have enough supplies on board to stay here for many months, food and water and clothes and that kind of stuff. We're still able to do all of our scientific experiments, so it was a loss, and of course it's going to affect the future, but we were able to cope with it, and like I said, there's plenty of margin on board, so there's no immediate danger. That was a Russian ship, so our cosmonaut friends, we have a crew of 6, 3 of them are Russian cosmonauts, so most of the equipment was for them, most of the food was for them, so we've been sharing as much as we can, and we've had failures in the past of American vehicles, and of course they share with us. It's a pretty cool partnership to be able to work together like that.
Scott, you're only 2 months in, less than 2 months in out of your year in space, but can you tell us anything about any of the biomedical experiments you've done and any of them that involve Mark?
So, there's a lot of research that is involved in my stay up here. Like I was said to the Weather Channel, I don't know if you were listening, over 400 different experiments throughout the period of time here in various disciplines. For me personally, there's the 1-year research, which has a lot of imaging associated with it, ultrasound of various parts of my body, my heart, arteries in my neck and brain and muscles. And some of that is related to the science, or involves the science that's being done with my brother and I, the comparative science, which is in most cases genetic based. So it's samples, blood, urine, other samples that our bodies give off. And I've done those collections twice and done a bunch of the ultrasound tests. Also, a lot of tests on my eyes and my vision. But the stuff that involves my brother is some of the ultrasound work and a lot of the human samples.
And those don't always sound like fun. So what do you guys do for fun? What's the most enjoyable recreational part of your day?
Well, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of time for fun. We have a pretty good work schedule. I don't think people realize, how hard we work up here. And we basically work, at least I do, from the time I get up until about an hour or so before I go to sleep. And, these other two guys work harder than I do. So, yeah, not a lot of free time for fun. But we have a chance to, watch some movies. You certainly enjoy The View. To read, although I haven't read anything yet book-wise. I need to start that. And, a lot of the time is spent communicating with folks on Earth.
And, Terry, how do you recalibrate your emotions when you were just a week or so away from going home, and now the delays mean it'll probably be at least another month or so?
Yeah, that's always a tough one for military folks on deployment. Whenever a deployment gets extended at the last minute, that can be tough. The hardest hit people are my family back on Earth. It's really tough on them. For me, I just I'm here. I'm doing my job. It's more of the same. It's only going to be a few more weeks. We'll be back in June, and so I just try not to think about it and just press on with my daily activities and keep on going. The hardest, like I said, I think is for the folks on Earth.
Aside from family and friends, what do you guys miss most about Earth? If you think about what's going on down there, is there one particular thing that pops to mind?
Weather. We do not have weather up here. It's sunny and low humidity and 75 every day, and so just the sounds and smell of rain or snow or a sunny, warm day, we don't get that. It's an interesting thing, but in a lot of ways, I've forgotten what weather's like, and I've really forgotten what gravity feels like. I'll be reintroduced to that here in a few weeks.
Scott, do you and Misha get to see a great deal of each other? Do you get to work together on the one-year experiment? I know there are two different wings of the station, but you guys are both in the one-year study.
We do consider ourselves one individual crew, and for a lot of reasons, we have to respond in an emergency together as a unified team. We fly together in the Soyuz. But a lot of our activities are done separately. It's almost like, two organizations sharing two different wings of a laboratory, let's say. So Misha sleeps in the U.S. segment, and the cosmonauts do some activities down here. But for the most part, their workday is spent in the Russian segment, and our workday is spent in what's considered the U.S. operational segment, which is not only the U.S. modules, but the European Space Agency module and the two Japanese modules we have up here. So, we do see each other a lot, but a lot of times it's just seeing him in passing as he's going to and from work in the morning and in the evening, and the other times a day he comes down to his crew quarters to maybe get on the computer or make a phone call or take a little break from his work day. So it's almost like, we just kind of wave in passing a lot of the times.
Another unplanned development in this trip was the scrubbing of Sarah Brightman's trip to the station. How big a disappointment was this? You guys were about to get an international star up there.
Well, I wouldn't say I was disappointed for me. I was kind of disappointed for her. Because I had grown to be friendly with her, and, I know how much she was looking forward to this. It's great to get visitors up here. You like the people you're flying with, but you also would like to see new faces. And we're not sure who's going to be put in that in that seat when the Soyuz launches here in September. Was the original plan. But whoever it is, we will welcome them just as much as we would welcome Sarah Brightman. So, on one hand, it's I'm sorry that she's not going to make it and fulfill her dream of flying in space. But on the other hand, someone else will, and that's a great thing for them.
Terry, are there any additional projects you've picked up, given that you're going to be there for another month, or is the workload such that you never have to worry about busying yourself?
Well, yes, for sure. Like Scott was saying earlier, workday is pretty much all day, every day. But I think we're in this phase now. We used to be in what we call the assembly phase of station, then we're in utilization. I kind of look at this as a reconfiguration phase. We're moving some modules around. The spacewalks that I did and the spacewalks that Scott are going to do are getting ready for future vehicles. And so one of the big projects is to move what's called a PMM module, which is just below the camera, and move it 2 modules over, basically. And that may be something that we do in this time that we have off. We've picked up some big maintenance on our life support and recycling systems, so we're trying to get ahead on some of the tasks that are going to be required for the next year. Relocating that PMM module, if it ends up happening, is going to be kind of a really big task.
Scott, you're set to take your first spacewalk of your career. When is that happening, and how much more training or preparation do you have ahead for that?
Well, right now it's a little bit TBD because the first planned spacewalk was for Kjell Lindgren and myself, and it's associated with the next SpaceX. So the next SpaceX has a hardware component on it that allows commercial vehicles to dock, U.S. commercial vehicles to dock to the International Space Station. And when the SpaceX gets here, we'll pull that piece of hardware out of SpaceX. It's in an unpressurized portion of the vehicle. And then as soon as Kjell gets up here, some number of days after, we're not sure which, because he was supposed to be here already when that arrived, but now that his launch is being delayed, we're going to have to replan that. So I'm not sure. It's probably sometime, I would suspect, in August. They're supposed to get here towards the end of July. Of course, Terry and I could always go out and do an unplanned spacewalk if something was to break on the space station. So, you have to be prepared for that. As far as training, there is some onboard training you do. There's certainly a lot of study and preparation, and I'm sure Terry can attest to that, doing 3 spacewalks in a row. So training never stops. We do onboard training. You train for this your whole life, and then you continue to train, and it's, you almost think maybe when you get home you'll still be doing training because, you're in such a habit of doing it.
Do you feel you've got, 10 months and a week? How are you pacing yourself? Does that feel like a long haul, or are you sort of getting fully in the rhythm?
It's one thing I think about every single day is that, I fortunately I had the experience of being up here previously. And I think most people that have been here for 6 months can tell you that a year is a very long time to live here, where you can't leave, a very closed environment, a very heavy workload. And so I think about it all the time. Like I said earlier, I work from basically the time I get up until right before I go to sleep. So me pacing myself is, one of the most critical things I do, because I need to have the same ability and energy and focus and attention to detail at the end of this mission that I do right now. And, because, at any time we need to be able to respond to an emergency, to stay up very long hours if we have to go outside and do an emergency spacewalk, for instance. So, it's the number one thing. Actually, safety is first, and the number 2 thing in my mind is pacing myself for the long haul.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us this time this morning, and fly safely and come home to us soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Good talking to you this morning.
Good talking to you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
And thank you, Weather Channel and Time Magazine. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
Thanks.
Great job, guys.